This morning we're going to make some high fiber, gluten-free, dairy-free sweet potato mini muffins. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to start with creaming 4 tablespoons of butter. If you want to have regular butter, you can use regular butter. Use the vegetarian butter. You can also use coconut oil. Now the butter, the coconut oil, whatever you're using needs to be softened so that it will cream. Use a half a cup, 4 tablespoons of the butter or the coconut oil softened, and a half a cup of sugar. I'm actually using xylitol because I'm making this basically sugar-free as well. And we're going to start out by just creaming these together. Xylitol is a sugar substitute. It's low glycemic, so it means it's not going to spike your blood sugar. It's actually made from birch bark, and it became the staple for sugar back during World War II when sugar became very, very scarce. So it replaces 1-to-1 with regular sugar, but you're not going to get that glycemic spike, so it's considered basically a sugar-free sweetener, kind of like stevia, where stevia has a little bit of a aftertaste or a little bit of bite to it. The xylitol does not. Okay, I'm going to kind of, this is creamed pretty good. If you're using the xylitol, the one thing, the texture is very much like sugar. You can see I've got some here, and I'll show it to you. It looks very much like sugar, the same consistency. Sometimes though, when you're using it to cream with the butters, it may not get as smooth and creamy as what you're used to, but that's okay because it's still going to be all right. All right, so we've done that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cup of applesauce. I like unsweetened applesauce, but you can use the sweetened if you'd like. This one's actually a no sugar added. I typically will buy unsweetened, but this is what they had at Sprouts. So I'm going to add the applesauce. That was 1 cup of applesauce. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Got that in there. And I'm going to add 2 eggs. Typically I like to, in fact I'm going to do that now in case I get any shell or if it's a bad egg. You want to crack your eggs into another dish and actually add them one at a time. That way it helps if you happen to have gotten any eggshell, which I do a lot. Get any of your eggshell in there. It's much easier to get it out. And then you can tell, make sure. I've never cracked an egg open and had it be bad, but there is always that potential. All right, so we have basically what we would consider our wet ingredients in the bowl. And we're going to whip those up. Start it a little slow so it doesn't splatter all over you. And turn it up and let that mix. Okay, we've mixed those all together, and I want to tell you what I'm going to do for my dry ingredients. I made oat flour. If you don't want to buy or have oat flour around, it's very easy to make. Just take your regular rolled oats, quick oats, whatever you happen to have, and just put them in your blender or in your food processor, and just grind them up, and it will actually make, as you can see in here, I hope I've got my flaxseed in here too, but you'll see it made a flour. So I have 1.5 cups of oat flour. I added 1/4 cup of flax seeds, and then we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon. teaspoon of cinnamon. You could add ginger if you wanted. It also calls for cardamom, and I don't have any powdered cardamom, but I have a cardamom essential oil. So, and you can bake with these. So I'm actually going to my liquid, I'm going to add a couple of drops. You don't want to add too much because obviously this is going to be super concentrated.
If it was powder, how much would you use?
If it's powder, it's a teaspoon, 1 full teaspoon. All right, so our dry ingredients again are the oat flour, the flaxseed, and cardamom if you have it, the cinnamon. I need to add a teaspoon of baking soda. Let me get my teaspoon back here. Teaspoon of baking soda. I had my ginger out, but I don't think I'll use it. And it calls for wheat germ, and since I have to do gluten-free and no wheat, I'm not going to use the wheat germ, but I'm actually going to use some nutritional yeast, which will add some extra nutrients to this as well as give it a nice nutty flavor. And I'm still not going to go with the whole quarter of a cup of it. I don't think I'll probably just do a couple of tablespoons. We should be good there. I did about 3 teaspoons of the nutritional yeast. You could definitely use the wheat germ if you don't have any problems with the gluten. So we're going to give this a little bit of a stir together, and then we're going to mix it in with the wet ingredients. Boy, it smells good. I wish you could smell it with that cinnamon and the oat. It smells so good. And the cardamom coming from the wet ingredients. Add a little bit of it in. Let's turn the mixer on slow again because I don't want to be covered in flour. Let it start incorporating. I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this. And we'll get it all incorporated, then I'll scoop it down. That's pretty well mixed. And we'll scoop it around just to make sure. All right. Now we want to add the grated sweet potato, and this was about a I would say not a large but a medium sweet potato, and I grated it up. You can grate it with that box grater by hand. I just happened to use the food processor because I had it out to do the oats, and we're actually going to do this part by hand and just stir it in. So I want to clean off my beater. Okay. I'll take this off of here. You'll be able to see this a little bit better. So we're going to add in our sweet potato. That was 3 cups grated. I've got a couple of little slices in there, but it'll be fine. And I'm actually even going to add a third of a cup of chopped walnuts, just because I want to. I like walnuts, and I wanted to add another little element, a little bit of texture. So you see you're getting the fiber from the oats and from the sweet potato. You've got the moisture from the eggs and from the applesauce. And obviously the butter, if you're using the butter, the vegan butter or the coconut oil. So I'm going to mix these all up. We're going to put them in mini muffin pans that I've actually already prepared. Sprayed them with some cooking spray. I'm going to use these little silicone ones, but you definitely don't have to use silicone. Okay, I think that's pretty well all mixed up. So you can see high fiber, nutritious, nothing in here that's bad for you because we're using the xylitol. You could use coconut sugar, you could use monk fruit, which is also a low glycemic sweetener. The monk fruit is not toxic for animals, whereas too much xylitol can be, so you want to watch giving any sweets to the dogs that have been made with xylitol. Got that first one a little full, I think. Oops. I think I need a little bit smaller scoop here. My scoops have kind of bit the dust, so it's time to get a few new ones. I did spray. I don't think I necessarily needed to for the silicone, but I did spray these with some cooking spray because I want to make sure these actually pop out pretty good. It's supposed to make 18, and I just realized I'd only sprayed 18, and I put some in one of them that hasn't been sprayed. So we'll see how easy that one will pop out of there. All right, so I'm going to fill the rest of these up, and I'm going to put them in a 375-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes. And then we'll cool them and pop them out and take a look. Okay, here's the final product. You really ought to try these. These are so moist, so tasty. Everything in them good for you, healthy, high in fiber. Nothing that is bad for you, especially since we use the xylitol. I baked them for about 25 minutes, 375 degrees, and I used my little silicone molds, and here you have the final product. So I hope you try these. Bon appetito!